Hello everyone, this is Nimish. Welcome back to my channel. I just returned from watching Joan in the theaters here. It was a wonderful experience. This is the second Malayalam film I have watched after Ezra in the theaters. First of all, very few Malayalam films release anywhere in the range of where I stay, and if they do, they need to be really good, and I should have the perfect kind of time and space and all of that to go for it, and it should attract me as much. That's what I just tweeted about. And once again, you guys should definitely follow me on Twitter, because I watched a bunch of new movies that I've tweeted about, and you guys might have to just wait for the review. But if you're on Twitter, as I said even in my previous review, it'd be great for you guys to keep in touch with what's happening and get updates very frequently. Anyway, coming to the review of Joan, this was a wonderful film. I absolutely enjoyed it. There's hardly anything I'm going to complain about. There's just a couple of things I'm going to mention, but overall, this was fantastic. Let's begin with one of the most attractive parts of this movie, which is the cinematography. Outstanding. This movie never ever even felt like watching an Indian movie. It was just amazing to watch that kind of cinematography, the amazing locations of Scotland that they've captured, the color tones that they've used, the kind of costume designing that they made to perfectly match with the cinematography that they wanted to achieve, the beautiful shots, a lot of aerial shots, and they were really beautiful, captured the locations amazingly, and all the whole technical department was fantastic. To add to all these visuals, there was a perfect background score, just amazing, giving goosebumps, whenever the track played and when the intensity increased. It was really amazing. And if you notice, this movie had kind of like a 60-40 dialogue, like 60% maybe was dialogues, but a lot of this movie compared to other movies was silent. It was all in just the actions that were played, the emotions that were playing, the thrill element, the build-ups. So a lot of the movie was silent. So background score plays an important role in such a movie to keep the intensity going. It was just outstanding. The tune is just kind of stuck in my head, and also the songs, which are very soulful. And Prithviraj, I think, is an amazing singer, and that's like the main song of the movie that he sings. He's an amazing singer. He doesn't even need a singer for to play back for him. He could sing all the songs that he does in his movies. So he should definitely do that. He's a really legit singer, outstanding. And I love that song also. It was very beautiful, and it added to the exact tone. So overall, the technicals came together really well. It just fitted the movie. Never really felt that one department is stronger. If most of my other reviews, you might notice that I say that one thing is really good, and the other things probably don't match up to that. That's why that stands out. But here, it all came together so well. So kudos to the whole team, and congratulations for bringing out such an amazing international thriller element to it. It's just fantastic. Moving on to the performances, there is a couple of things I want to say. First of all, Prithviraj is at his best. He is in his kind of best zone. And I was also going to update you guys that I'm going to start tweeting about specialties of every actor. I've started noticing that every actor, not only in Malayalam, anywhere, has one thing that no one can beat him at. There's this one thing, and I'm going to start tweeting about it. So definitely follow me, and so that you can directly give me your opinions and all of that. But in this movie and in this zone is Prithvi's strength. It's his strength to be in this emotional kind of circle, so to speak, or emotional kind of aura around him situation where he's kind of down at the rock bottom, and he has to come out of it, or he has to deal with it, or he has to kind of play with what's going to happen next. And that is his most strong point, and he's in that zone in this movie. So right from the first scene that he enters on screen and gets out of the car, the bang emotion just comes across the screen, and he cries, and he's just super emotional. It's just fantastic how he never even speaks, and he can express that much. So he's his best in his emotional side, and definitely that is the strong point of the script for him, which he could use effectively and deliver a mind-blowing performance. One scene in particular that stood out for me was even when he got sorry, spoiler alert. Okay, I might get into spoilers at any time now, and so let's just say the spoiler alert begins now. So for those of you who have not watched Joan yet, I'm sorry. You guys might have to watch the movie and come back to check out this review, because I'm going to get into spoilers. Not really plot spoilers, but scenes I have to mention to for my review to go ahead. Anyway, so I've given you a long alert so that you didn't miss the alert. So now getting into what I was continuing to say was that in one scene he gets hit on the head. If you guys know what scene I'm talking about, and the way he reacts to that shot, his eyes come together and he falls. That was amazing, because that's exactly what happens when you're hit on a very sensitive part. Like, your eyes lose control and they kind of come together and stuff. They don't just stay staring at something. They lose control, and he did that really well, and that was unexpected. So that was fantastic, if you guys noticed that. And there was also one more scene, but I can't recollect it now. If I remember it, I'll come back to it. But that was really showing how he's really involved in every bit of the kind of movie and every bit of the story and action that's going around him, that he perfectly responds to it. And that's how amazing he is. Moving on to the other characters, Bhavna was a treat to watch. I mean, I watched her recently in Adventures of Omnakuttan, and I really liked her in that movie too. She was super confident, and she seemed like the most sort of Malayali actress, so to speak, because that whole kind of culture thing was very strongly embedded in her in that movie, as compared to many other actresses that I've seen. Many other actresses are more so like, what do you say, like DQ. When you see DQ, he's more like a pan India star. You can't really attach or identify Malayalam elements in DQ directly as compared to some of the other actors. So similarly, a lot of the other actresses like Parvati, you can't immediately, if you just watch Charlie, you can't immediately identify the Malayali aspects to her. But that was very strong in Bhavna in Adventures of Omnakuttan, and that's why I really enjoyed her performance. It was absolutely fantastic in that movie, and in this movie, she plays a complete contrast of that character. This movie, she also started shooting for it after the unfortunate incident that happened with her, and so it is really courageous of her and absolutely amazing that she came back to work, and she just started working and continued working. She's doing really well, and she's back to living a normal life. It's fantastic, and it never showed on screen. It never showed that she's not in the space of her mind. She's not like doing well mentally. She's come back from some big incident. It doesn't show it. She's fantastic, and she's absolutely amazing. The kind of maturity that she gives to this movie and the character is just fantastic. It's at the level of when Nayantara did something like Putya Niyamam or Maya, where she's a little sad and depressed and kind of, in that zone. That's very tough for any actress, or it's very rare for any actress that we've seen in India in general. So it's amazing how she really performed, and I'm actually, she's the most favorite actress right now for me in all of India. She's fantastic, and she looks really nice, and she can act really well, and she's really, really good, like a great asset for any film. She can do all these kinds of roles, and in two movies I've got two extremes of her range, so she was fantastic. Neeraj Madhav is amazing in serious roles, in terms of he's not like the best actor or the most amazing performer ever. He's definitely has his limitations. He's a supporting actor. There's a lot more that he can improve upon. But again, with the Adventures of Omanakuttan, he was terrible. Like, that comedy was something I was cringing at. I wanted to walk out of his comedy scenes. So compared to that, he's really good in serious scenes, and so he should probably just know his strengths and kind of gauge his weaknesses and perform something like this. This is amazing. He lent a great kind of contribution to this movie. He played the gray kind of character very well. And yes, there were shortcomings in his acting because he didn't deliver, or maybe it was the writing that didn't give him scope. But I wish that character was explored more and there was more of a conclusion and a beginning for that character. It just seemed to have been thrown in there with some gray areas just to build suspense and keep the story moving, but it never really concluded or came together. Similarly with Bhavna's kind of story, although it did have much more than Neeraj Madhav's character, it could have had a better kind of conclusion or kind of ending to it. But then these three are the main characters. Apart from this, there was the guy who played Syriac. I've not seen him in too many movies, but I've seen him somewhere, and that is one point that I wanted to speak about, that he did a good job. He was he did what he had to do. My point is more from the story perspective, coming to the one scene that I really didn't like in this movie, which was the climax sort of action scene. In fact, the whole climax could have been better developed, but the climax action scene was way over the top for a movie like this, which had kept its sensibilities, senses, writing, everything 100% logical. 99%, because I have one more point coming up, but 100% almost logical. And then when you're expecting a great climax, something very interesting to happen, it just could have been written better. One man beating 10 guys is never acceptable, no matter how big he is. One man hitting 10 guys should be banned from movies, especially sensible movies. I'm not talking about the big movies and the sort of action or spy movies where they're trained, or the big superstar movies where you go to watch him hit 20 people. That's not my point. The point is, in realistic movies, you're making a character that's not had any sort of experience like this, and you can't put him in a spot after the whole amazing movie and make him do the same old thing that all of us, most of us, don't like to watch, which is a guy hitting 10 guys, blah blah, jumping in the air, throwing people in the air. That's not fun at all when it comes up in such a movie. Therefore, I mentioned Syriac. The whole movie, or the whole second half, Syriac was kind of always with Prithviraj. He was lending that support. He was also hitting people to kind of ask them questions. He was a good support and a good pillar of strength to support the whole investigation. So when this whole kind of climax happened, or the ending happened, it would have been so much easier for us to accept if Syriac was also there and both of them tackled. At least if two people hit five people each is better than one guy who's wounded going hitting around everyone and jumping in the air and throwing people in the air. It could have been easily planned in a better way, and I think strongly they should have done that. And I don't know why Syriac was simply left out. The dialogue was not convincing. This is what is it, a man who's got nothing to lose. This is his journey, so you are not that kind of man, so you don't need to come with me. I'll go alone and do the rest of this. So it didn't really make a lot of sense. I know that he had to be present at another place to help out. There are a lot of complications, I know, sub complications, but definitely they could have written it and made it in a way that both of them were there, so that if that action had to happen, action sequence had to happen, it could have happened and we could have accepted it much more happily. I know that most of you have accepted it anyway, but I'm not someone who can accept that no matter how you prove it to me. It's just too much, unless it's like a spy movie, as I said, or it's like one of those big superstar movies. It's really going to seem out of place. So I didn't really enjoy all the flying that happened in the end and all the things that happened in the end. It was way too much for me to handle, and I think that that's the one thing that people leave with the theater with, the last scene. So you should always focus on making the last scene really, really good, and they should have improved upon that action sequence. But that didn't spoil the movie at all. It didn't really spoil the movie in any way. It wasn't a extraordinarily over the top fight sequence like CIA where people are flying unnecessarily, or like any other movie with a lot of action. It was still made in a good way, but it obviously could have been better. I also feel like they could have probably expanded the horizons of the whole devil worship thing and given us more knowledge. There were some points where it felt half-hearted, and it felt like they stopped exploring it after that whole kind of sequence, stopped exploring it and directly went to the climax. They could have shown us more details. It would have been nice to know, because there was a lot of scope for it. There was a lot of just thinking and songs and random walks and things happening, and you could have instead shown probably more on that whole ritual and whole things and a lot of the nice things. Also, the police track could have continued somewhere and kind of continued more, because it didn't seem like that concluded either. So a lot of these subplots were kept like open and not really brought together in the end, so to speak. I mean, it was, but it could have been done in a better way. It could have been there all the while, but nevertheless, those are just random points where they could have improved and made it even better than what it already is. It's a fantastic movie. I absolutely enjoyed. I'm going to recommend it to everyone, including technicians, for studying the cinematography and being like, you guys should do this. This is absolutely fantastic. So absolutely amazing experience. I hope that my next movie in the theater is something that is not a Prithvi movie and something that comes every week and I could probably go and watch it. I hope these movies are released here and I can make time and go watch it and give you more quicker reviews like this. But until then, I hope you liked this review of Adam Joan. It was absolutely an awesome experience for me, and I'm glad I made the decision to make the effort to go and watch it, and it was just amazing. So I wanted to give this movie 10 stars after the first star. I know I would have sounded crazy and very partial and unkind of, it's very biased when it comes to all this, but I'm going with 4 stars for Adam Joan, because of the kind of lag which I think that to address it to all the people and for all the people to enjoy it, definitely you need to keep in mind the lag element and improve your speed and trim portions where nothing much is happening. Definitely I personally don't have any grudge against it. I loved it the way it is. I would watch it again 10 times for the way it is. But I feel like to cater for an audience and to get that kind of 5 star, it should have a little more speed to it. And also the last fight scene and a couple of other points that I mentioned, if they had worked on it better, it would have definitely got that 5 star brand. But as of now, I'm going with 4 stars for Adam Joan. I hope you like this review. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and take care.